weather may be damp and dismal, but we're right at the centre, the nerve centre of operations, because behind me is Warren Place, the home of 10 times champion trainer Henry Cecil. Henry was kind enough to discuss his prospects for 1998 with me, but before we do that, he also showed us some of his horses in action on the heath. Well, we've just been out on the gallops. The rain is spearing down, and Henry has been very kind, and he's going to give us a bit of his time, valuable time, to discuss some of his horses. And the first one I'd like to discuss is Fleetwood, a colt of some potential.
Well, he's a lovely horse. He's a groomed dancer colt. And he ran at Haydock, and he won very easily. In fact, he went away, and Kieran Fong could hardly pull him up. In fact, he went around the course again.
And broke the track record time, I believe.
He had a little bit of trouble with his knees, so we had to clean those up in the winter, and hopefully everything was all right. I was there at Haydock, and everybody sort of said, Christ, he must be a good thing, because Henry Cecil's there. But I have to admit, I was actually taking a day off. I was going up to shoot grouse.
Oh, really?
And I just dropped in on the way.
And it all worked out very well?
Worked out well.
And Fleetwood just lengthens and comes away. Fleetwood going well clear now of Shart, no slouch. Then Morsoof. Look at the gap between first and last. Boy, this is impressive. It's Fleetwood is made all. Another one for Kieran Fallon. Henry Cecil, another one. And Fleetwood takes it. He is pricked.
What about this horse's trip?
Well, you get a mile and a quarter. Whether you get a mile and a half, I don't know. But he's potentially a very nice horse if he stays right.
Where would you like to start him?
I'm not sure. I'm just taking my time with it, because I mean, I've given him plenty of time with after his operation, just cleaning up his knees, and he had a tiny little chip there. And at the moment they feel good, and I just feel my way. Whether he'll run Craven Week or a little bit later, I'm not sure.
And what about ground for him?
I don't know, really. I think just good ground. I mean, I don't think I'd want it like a road.
For fear of jarring him up.
Yes, probably, but no, he could be a nice horse. I mean, so many nice animals have sort of slight sort of ifs about them, you know.
Yes.
Where they've had little problems and things. It's just a question.
You think this knee could still be a little bit of an if?
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's all behind him. But I mean, you're always guarded against those things. And yeah, when you work, the first thing I do is to go around the horses who've had little tiny problems to make sure that everything is all right. You know? The knees feel good and they flex well, and there's no soreness, etc., in the joints and things. And so you're always watching.
Must be a nightmare keeping these horses sound.
It's difficult. I mean, you have something going wrong every day, but hopefully that the things that go wrong are sort of temporary things and more superficial, and one has no permanent damage. Because
you've got to work them and see what they'll do, and it's a finely balanced thing, isn't it? How do you judge that?
Well, you've got to wait till they're strong enough and mature enough. You know, we're dealing with a very young animal, and I think the breed is getting a bit more backward.
In what sort of way? Less precocious or more?
Yeah, it's a little less precocious. I think that, yeah.
So you've got to give them more time?
I think overall, I think that the breed is getting a little bit more backward.
Do you think we race them too young?
Well, I'd like to see no two-year racing till probably May, but I mean, most people disagree with me. So they have these races early in March and everything for 2-year-olds, and Jack Berry does very well, but somebody's got to win them. There's got to be a first, second, third, even if they're walking.
Sure. I mean, you don't race your 2-year-olds until...
I don't have that sort of type of horse. Most of mine are
more backward.
Backward as me. Well, Dr. Fong, I mean, he was quite backward last year. We ran him in Newbury and Maiden, and he was sort of towards the back of the field, 2 furlongs out. And he came through and he broke the track record.
Towards the outside, Red Sky Charlie not very far behind them, and Chantillo as they come down past the halfway point now, just over 3 to race. Distant Mirage and First Master, Mubrick and Pantar on the rails. Close behind these is Chanillo looking for daylight as they come down now to the 2 furlong marker. And Distant Mirage and Mubrick, the two leaders still, as they come down with a furlong and a half to race, and then close behind these comes towards the outside Red Sky Charlie, but they're down to the furlong marker now, and it's Mubrick on the stand side. Mubrick and Distant Mirage. Dr. Fong comes out of the pack to be third, and he's putting down a challenge. These three are clear. Dr. Fong's challenge successful. He goes ahead close home. Dr. Fong from Distant Mirage and
He's quite laid back to the horse. When I say little, he's grown quite a bit. He's physically done very well. Then he ran at Ascot in a very heavy ground. He beat an animal, I think, just trying to think, it was one of, from the north.
That's right.
And they went well clear of the rest of the field, and I think the second was pretty useful. But it was a sort of question of who was the strongest on the day. But I think that he could make a very nice horse.
And we know from that that he can act on all types of going.
Yes, I think he'd rather have good ground, but he's an exciting sort of proposition.
What do you see him doing? Do you see him going all the way to a classic, or...?
Well, whether you'll get a mile and a half, time will tell. I mean, he's by Chris S, by Roberto. Roberto won a derby, but he was more than a mile and a quarter horse. He didn't really get it. Class sort of saw him through, but we just feel our way. I'm not going to make any sort of programme quite yet.
Right. Another one, Tracking, who's quite well exposed as a 2-year-old, appears to have done well. What do you make of him?
He's not over big. I mean, he's very sort of strong, and he's got 8-4 in the free handicap. And I would think to begin with would be an ideal race for him. I mean, he's got good form. He ran some very good races, and very good race at Sandown last year.
They're racing down towards the final furlong on the Solarians, and Tracking's got first run on them. Goes about a length clear. Harmy is after him, his old rival. Then down the outside, Little Indian is staying on pretty well. Back in fourth place is Sharp Play. Last of the quintet then is Sonic Cavalier, and Tracking is holding him at bay, but Little Indian is packing a great finishing punch on the outside, and Little Indian swoops to conquer, gets up to win the Solario by about half a length, then Tracking in second. Back in third.
Hopefully, he made free handicap.
Would you have a few better than him, or would you be using him as a bit of a...
We would never say, I wouldn't say what's better and what isn't better than the owner's probably watching.
Right. Chester House.
I mean, he is a very sort of immature horse and mentally sort of quite backward, I'll show him. He won at Goodwood, sort of, a rather hard race because he wasn't concentrating. And he ran well, having got slowly away. I think it was in the Aiken at York. I want to run him again, but he pulled his little muscle. If he puts it together, I mean, he could be a nice horse.
How's he done over the winter? Has he grown up a bit?
Yes, he's not a heavy horse. He's done much better since he started cantering. But you know, he's got ability, and whether he'll run the Craven Stakes or something else, I'm not quite sure yet. I haven't really sort of pressed any buttons yet.
Right. He looks like a middle distance horse in the making.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe up to a mile and a quarter, and whether you'd get further, I don't know. He wouldn't like to. Thank God, I mean, this perspective, they don't all stay, do they?
No, they don't. That's quite right. Capri, he'd be a little bit of a dark one, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he's a generous colt. He's a big, lovely-looking horse. Chestnut. His half-sister is Fiji, who's doing very well in America. He ran once when he was only just beaten, but he was quite backward, and hopefully, you know, he could make into a very nice horse. We like him.
Again, another middle distance performer, one would imagine.
Yes, and he'll be in everything. It's just a question of whether few horses really come up to expectations.
That's right.
Hopefully he might.
Has he shown you a bit at home?
Well, at the moment we've been doing sort of nice work, sort of drawing up and on the gallop and sitting. We haven't sort of pressed any buttons, but I mean, I get a good feeling about him.
Talking of that, when do you start to press buttons, and how do you judge it?
Well, it depends, I mean, on the horse, really. I mean, the horses are more forward. We start sort of moving on a little bit now, and we've done a lot of conditioning work, and they've done sort of half speed, drawing up to sort of three-quarter speed, and helping each other, and sort of, well, like sort of, they're all in little sets of three when they're working, you know, hopefully in sort of their own sort of class. Yeah? And probably next week I shall start just sort of
stepping them up a
little bit. Yeah?
Yes.
Not all of them, because I mean they don't all come
at the same time. And that's the skill in doing your lists and which horse works with what horse, and by that you can get them to help each other. And
yes, I think that, the main thing is, I mean, if they have ability, well, this is only what I think. Everybody's got different ideas, and probably a lot of people's ideas are much better than mine.
Well, your ideas have worked pretty well in the past.
Well, sometimes, not always. But I think they've got to have confidence. When having a lot of ability and no confidence, you know, you've got to enjoy it and have that little bit of...
So you've got to see that the horse is mentally right as well as physically.
They've got to be mentally right and enjoying themselves.
Yes, yes.
I think they're the bee's knees. And
moving on, I'm very impressed with Sleepytime. I mean, all viewers will know her. She won the 1,000 guineas most impressively last season, and then we didn't really see much of her after that.
No, I mean, she went off. She grew a lot, and she got rather light and wasn't really sort of doing as well as she should physically. We've done a lot of sort of groundwork with her and try to get her sort of a more better balance and strengthen her behind the saddle. I mean, and she's going very nicely, very relaxed, going very nicely. And hopefully, I think sort of mile and a quarter, I've always thought would probably be her best distance.
And presumably a galloping track.
Yes, yeah, but I think over mile and a quarter, she's quite sort of well balanced now. And, but I don't think she's not going to be running at Warwick or Pontefract. I mean, I hope most of our good tracks have got a little bit of straight, yeah?
You've always had tremendous faith in her. I remember you telling me, well, after she'd been, on the face of it, disappointing in the Fred Darling, what a good filly she was and how well she would run in the Guineas, and you were proved absolutely right.
I think she's just, I mean, she should be better this year, and I feel that sort of, you know, we can start off and saying the other Scepter and probably take it to Sandown, hopefully Ascot, and maybe with luck we can have sort of, we'll go with the Clipses and the Judmonts and things like that, but we'll just see. We won't sort of count our chickens. No,
she could be a worthy replacement to Bosra Sham if all went well with her.
Well, hopefully it'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be terrific. Now we go to her half-brother, Anytime.
Yeah, well, he's a lovely horse. He had a little bit of a sesamoid problem as a foal, and when he came over, he was never lame, but it was just sort of, the joint wasn't quite as I'd like it to be, and so we operated on him. And we gave him the whole year off, and he's now just coming into work. I mean, he did his first bit of work yesterday, and at the moment, things look hopeful. I mean, he's, you know, the joint and the suspension feel pretty good, and we're just going to hope it holds.
Are you able to say how far off a run he'd be?
Well, I shall feel my way. I mean, I don't think he'd be sort of ready till sort of around Guineas week anyway. But we do like him. I think he's got great potential, but I mean, again, we haven't asked any serious questions.
And trip-wise, Henry?
It's difficult. I mean, I think he's by Ferry King, so his brother Sadler's Wells, and I would think sort of he may be right a mile and a quarter. Whether he get a mile and a half, I don't know. He's out of a fast family. You know, family is fast. Yeah? Chief singer man, I mean, yeah. Time will tell.
Daggers Drawn, perhaps in many ways the biggest headline horse of Warren Place last season, and perhaps in some ways a disappointment.
Well, I don't think any horse who can win the sort of race he did, whether it be the Richmond and the Champagne, can be a disappointment, right?
He showed tremendous turn of foot.
Yes, and I think he was over the top. You know, he's working too well at home. Sometimes when they work really well, you know, they can
too much gas and not enough juice. Yeah?
They're trying to get the gallop over too quickly, and I think sort of it's a sign that horses can be going over the top, and I think he was definitely over the top, and he ran very dead. And
so we should ignore that. Right?
Ignore that, yeah. I think he's, you know, physically he's not a big horse. He hasn't grown an awful lot, but I mean, he's very well, and he seems to be working nicely, and hopefully we go for the green, and then we'll go from there.
He has got that speed, hasn't he?
Yes, he's very athletic. He's not a great walker or trotter, yeah.
But that doesn't stop him.
Or when he's going steady. I mean, people say, you know, when he gets down to the start, he's jarred up. Well, he's not jarred up, yeah. He just doesn't bother until he gets into full...
It's just the way he moves in his slower paces.
Yeah, he's slightly on the forehand, and he's like that, yeah.
Jibe, she's an interesting filly, isn't she?
Well, she's beautifully bred. I mean, she's slightly dangerous. She's one of the great sort of mares of all time. You know, she's bred a Warning, Commander-in-Chief, Yashmak, amongst many others. She is not very big. She's not as big as Yashmak.
Is that a disadvantage in a filly? Or
well, not always, no. I mean, some of the small fillies are very good, yeah.
Now, she's quite compact, as I remember.
She's big enough. And she'll probably grow a little bit. All that family's will improve from 2 to 3. She'll probably grow a little bit. She's very well. She had a slight sort of muscle setback about 2 months ago, but she's on the gallop, and she's sort of, I think, sort of nearly on schedule if she was going to run the Fred Darling. But I mean, if I'm really happy and she's pinging, she'll run. Otherwise, she'd wait for the guineas. But nice filly. But I mean, although Yashmak won the Ribsdale very, very easily, she didn't really get a mile and a half.
What about this filly? Do you think she...
No, I think, you know, I'm sort of guarded against it. I'm sort of almost feel that she's more mile and a quarter. But...
she certainly got the mile as a youngster, didn't she? She was very unlucky, I thought, in that filly's mile. You know, she met all kinds of trouble in the straight at Ascot.
No, she didn't. I mean, I'd run 2 fillies in that race, and neither had a very good run, but I mean, take nothing away from the winner. The winner's a good animal, but I mean, hopefully we can have a rematch. I
think it's the second filly in that race that we talk about now, Midnight Line.
Well, she's very tough, doesn't do more than she has to. She actually beat the winner of the fillies mile at Ascot.
Gloriosa.
Giving her weight. Quite easy, 2.5 lengths or anything.
Yes.
And she had no run at all. She stopped 3 times, and we just had to accept it. I mean, she won the Mayhill, and she won the Candelabra Goodwood, and very nice filly, done very well.
Would you say she's more of a staying filly than Jibe?
Yeah, I think sort of a mile would be her
minimum.
Minimum. I think she may be better when she gets a bit further, but then again, you know, animals sometimes when they get stronger, they can produce more speed and they come back in distance rather than get further.
Yes, you're never afraid to do that. Bring them back in distance.
Sometimes they do. I mean, you'll find that sort of if they're a bit backward, I mean, they'll sort of do things in their own time, but once they pull themselves together, sometimes you can bring them back in distance. But I mean, they'll tell us. You know, you've just got to let them tell us.
Right.
You can't tell them, otherwise you have nothing.
Midnight Line, would you start her off in one of the trials or go straight to something like the Guineas?
Well, I think we'll see. I mean, you know, she could run down here in the Nell Gwyn, but would just 7 furlongs. But we'll just see her, see how she's going. If she's sort of showing enough speed. I mean, I don't want to subject to anything she can't do.
Bold fact, sprinter?
Well, I think so. I mean, you could probably get 7 furlongs. Whether you get a mile or not, I don't know. But I'm sort of treating him more like a sprinter. He's done well. His first race or 2, he was all inclined to hang across the course. You saw in the...
Cost him the Coventry, really, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. And in the, he hung right across the course in the July Stakes.
And I remember you working him at Newmarket on one occasion. It may have been just before July meeting or sometime. And he seemed perfectly all right that day.
No, he thought. I mean, and then when he ran in the Jim Crack, I mean, ran straight. He's all right now. I mean, I think we solved the problem. Yeah.
Does he wear some special equipment to stop him?
He did, but now he doesn't need any more.
He's grown up.
Hopefully.
Good. And
like we all.
Yes, we all have to do a bit of that. And now an unraced one, who you've heard the dogs barking this name a bit, Twickenham.
Well, he's a very nice horse. I mean, he unfortunately had a little crack in his hind cannon bone last year, and so he wasn't trained. I mean, he's been going very nicely. He did his sort of first proper piece of work yesterday. He's a horse with a lot of potential. He's just got to materialise, but I shall take my time with him.
And he's by Woodman, is he not?
He's by Woodman, yeah. He's had all that sort of Flame of Tara family.
So, and how optimistic would you be that he is a good horse in the making?
It's early days, but I mean, we like him very much. And I think that I'm very fortunate. I've got a super staff here, and the people who've ridden him, they're very pleased with him, and it's always a good sign. I think when you're working horses, I mean, we worked at Mainstring on the racecourse side yesterday. That's we worked just over 50-something horses, and I always go through the horses and the staff after they've worked, and the general feeling I had was sort of enthusiasm rather than, this is slow, or this hangs, or I don't like this, or he doesn't like it. I mean,
the vibes were all positive.
Quite positive. So I mean, hopefully we'll survive.
Henry, you're a trainer who's done just about everything and achieved just about everything. What would you most like to do in 1998 that perhaps you haven't done before?
I certainly haven't achieved everything. I think you're being a bit sort of kind.
Not really.
I'd like to just have a really good year and keep Warren Place right up near the top, at the top or near the top.
A controversial move you made at the beginning of last season was to sign Kieran Fallon as your stable jockey. Many racing writers, including myself, thought that Kieran might not be equal to the job, but your opinion was amply justified, and he seems to have matured and become the fully polished article.
Yeah, I think, I'm very pleased that I sort of took him on, really, and I think he, as you say, he's improving a lot. I mean, I think sort of good horses, and he's been riding better horses, and he's getting his confidence, and riding very well, very determined, 100% behind Warren Place. I mean, he loves Warren Place and works very hard, and an extremely nice personage, and very quiet, really. You know, in the past he might have, coming up to where he is now, he might have had a few sort of little problems, but I mean, that's not really in his nature. He's a very quiet and modest person, and all he thinks about is riding and riding winners, and loves his horses, and he's fitted in very well here. And I'm 100% behind him, so my owners, and he's proving us right.
Who else will you be using jockey-wise?
Well, Willie Ryan is his second jockey. I mean, he's sort of part of the family, and he's a very good jockey. Rode the Derby winner last year, and hopefully, you know, I'll be able to give him lots of rides and hopefully winners. And then Tony McGlone and Johnny Lowe, they're also retained. So I think overall, I think, you know, we're quite well organised.
Do you feel another championship season coming on?
I don't know. I'd like to think so. I'd like to think it's just a little bit early. The weather's filthy and everything, and you know, you get the odd little setback, like sort of pulled muscles and everything, and you wonder, are you ever going to get to the season? But I think we have got a lot of potential in the yard, and I've got the staff, and I'm hopeful that we'll be right.
Moving away from the specifics of your horses and Warren Place, what in general would you most like to see come about in racing during 1998? What sort of improvements would you welcome most?
No, I think I'd like to see more races and more opportunity for the sort of the twilight horse, you know, the horse that sort of
not quite the group horse,
not quite the group horse, and or sort of Group 3 horse. Because don't forget, you get a lot of time you get the Group 1 horses running in the Group 3 races.
Yes.
And when Sleepytime ran the first time out, I think she's running in a Group 3. So there's not such a thing as a Group 3 race. Maybe in prize money and everything, but I mean, you're still taking on a lot of the best. Yeah?
Yes, sure.
And I think the opportunity is a little bit disappointing for those sort of horses. I know they're trying to do something about it. But definitely, I mean, we want to have the races here, the opportunity here, rather than people saying, you know, we can win $500 in America.
Yes, sure.
$500,000 in America.
Sure. Do you agree with people like Major Dick Hearn that there's too much racing for moderate horses?
I think so. I think it's sort of, and I think there's too much racing altogether. I think people, you know, the jockeys get fed up with it, and I think the public get a little bit bored of it, and you can't keep up with the thing. I think there's too much racing. I think they want to, there's got to be opportunity for everybody.
How much stress and strain does that put on a big yard like yours?
It's a hard year, but I think, as I said, you've got to have opportunity for everything, but I think that there's just a little bit too much of the bottom tier. And I do think that, I mean, somehow, whether the government help us or the bookmakers help us, we do need more prize money. You know, we can't have the best horses racing in the world and have the 25th or 24th worst prize money.
Yes.
Because the time will come when we'll lose the horses, and most of the object of the thing at the moment is, I mean, this is the salvage and the prestige. You know, if you win the Nell Gwynn Stakes, it may only be worth 18,000, but the quality is there, so your animal appreciates in value.
Yes.
But if the animals are going abroad and we become a second-rate racing nation,
yes,
and bad horses are competing against bad horses,
yes,
then they're not going to be worth that money.
One thing I'm pretty sure about, I don't think we'll be seeing you upping stumps and going to train abroad.
No, I'm too I'm too old, I think. Too old to change. I should just keep going.
Henry, thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure.